Hello all, Frost Central here again with another video. This video we're going to be talking about one of the greatest TV series of all time, the 2003 Nickelodeon hit, Avatar the Last Airbender. Those who know me personally know that this is one of my favorite shows of all time. Everything around it captivates me to no end and constantly shows with its amazing world building, storytelling, alluring characters, and balanced power system. The series is an absolute work of art and deserves all the praise it gets. I'd like to save a video on the series as a whole for later, maybe around the time that the Roku Novel drops, but for now I want to talk about my GOAT, Roku's successor, the boy in the iceberg, the man who ended the 100-year war, the Last Airbender, Avatar Aang. Aang is one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise. Today we'll be explaining his character throughout the TV series, because there seems to be a few misinterpretations of his character in The Last Airbender running around the community. So, let's get started. Aang was born as an air nomad to the Southern Air Temple immediately after the passing of his predecessor, Avatar Roku, to two unknown air nomads. He was then taken in and raised by the monks, especially by Monk Gyatso. Monk Gyatso would serve as both his teacher, mentor, father figure, and friend, and they develop a very close bond together. Aang would also eventually meet Appa, and he'd become his personal sky bison and animal guide. The two travel the world, meeting various people across the globe such as Bumi and Kuzan. Eventually, Aang mastered 34 of the 35 tiers of airbending techniques and invented his own technique, the air scooter, which granted him his mastery tattoos at age 12, and status as a master airbender, the youngest at the time. With the threat of Sozin, the Fire Nation, and the war, Aang was revealed to be the Avatar at age 12 instead of the usual age of 16. This terrified the young airbender, especially as the monks said that he would be sent far to the Eastern Air Temple away from Gyatso, due to him being too soft on Aang to finish up his training. Aang was scared of this sudden burst of responsibility and being removed from his friends and family, so he ran away on Appa. However, they ended up getting caught in a massive storm that almost drowned them, and a huge wave of water that almost finished them off, until Aang unconsciously entered the Avatar state, using a combination of air and water bending to seal himself and Appa into an ice spear for 100 years, kept alive by the raw power of the Avatar state, until he was found by Katara and Sokka of the Water Tribe, releasing him from his 100-year slumber, then proceeding to start traveling with them on Appa to search for the other airbenders until they arrived at the Southern Air Temple and found. After this, they allowed Aang to truly realize the severity of this war and understand that now he was actually the last airbender and needed to master the 4 elements and put a stop to this war. There's been a lot of misunderstanding with who Aang is as a person, and I believe that there needs to be something to clear this up, because a lot of this discourse is getting genuinely ridiculous. First off, Aang at the start of the series is 12, and towards the end he is pushing 13. He is still a child. While Aang may be the Avatar, and he must accept his duty to strive for balance in the world, he is a child pressured on all fronts to save the world after having his culture nuked, with almost all of his friends, family, and everyone he knew dead. Aang is alone, stranded in an unfamiliar time 100 years in the future, so naturally, when it comes to some of his first friends, he is attached and doesn't want to lose them at all. They are the only people he now has and does not want to ever be left alone ever again. This explains his actions in the Bato of the Water Tribe and hiding the letter from Katara and Sokka, and his desperation to keep Appa and Momo from getting taken away from him. This also ties into the end of Book 2, where Aang is told to let go of Katara in order to master and have control of the Avatar state. He rejects this because Katara is who he loves most and is his earthly tether. She is who keeps him grounded, currently tethered to his humanity and compassion still. And when he attempted to let go of everyone again, to escape his circumstances in the crystal catacombs of Ba Sing Se. He nearly died and screwed up worse than when he ran away the first time in his eyes. Something interesting to note is that in almost every season of the show, Aang loses just a bit more of his aeronomad culture in some way, shape, or form. In Season 1, we see Aang lose his entire race, and the Northern Air Temple is taken over, and a lot of their artifacts are misplaced or destroyed. In Season 2, we see Aang almost permanently lose Appa, his sky bison, the animal that the air nomads are bonded to for life. Almost lose Momo, one of the last flying lemurs, and then lose some of the last air nomad garments to ever exist, and potentially the life of the last air nomad after getting zapped by Azula. Then in Season 3, he burns his glider, the last authentic air nomad glider to exist at that stage, has to grow his hair out and hide all of his tattoos within the Fire Nation, basically abandoning his identity not only as the Avatar, as an air nomad, for an identity as a member of the Fire Nation, the nation that annihilated his culture and killed him. Then, in the finale of the show, he is forced and told by everyone to essentially get rid of one of the last things he has left as an air nomad as part of his culture, in his morality and beliefs by killing Fire Lord Ozai. The reason why Aang finds this choice difficult is not just because he is a child that has to take a life or that he's just stubborn in his belief. It is just that if he does do this and toss away his air nomad beliefs to take away Ozai's life, it proves the imperialistic Fire Nation views of might makes right correct. It would be him pretty much losing one of the last things that truly makes him an air nomad, his belief in all life being sacred. All of this combined with the fact that Aang still very much blames himself throughout the show for the genocide of the air nomads. He blames himself due to the fact that he ran away from home to escape his responsibilities, got caught in the storm, and throws himself in an iceberg, all just to escape his identity as the Avatar, right as the Fire Nation used Sozon's comet to annihilate the air nomads. He views this as his mistake because he wasn't there at the time to stop, without acknowledging the fact that even though he was the Avatar, he was still a 12-year-old boy who only mastered airbending, and likely would have just been another casualty in the massacre of the air nomads. So, as the last airbender, and viewing himself as the cause of this massacre to some degree because of his lack of responsibility, he sees it as his responsibility now to try and preserve as much air nomad culture as possible. So while it may in your eyes and the eyes of other characters be more ideal to take the life of Ozai or Yakone, doing that means abandoning air nomad culture and in a way almost erasing this culture from the world, which would also throw the world off balance due to a fourth nation's culture being essentially erased. This is what all of Aang's companions, and surprisingly enough, several of his past lives could not understand, but he himself did, which is why he could not go through with the killing of Ozai, and was struggling morally with it the entire fight until he used energy bending. Energy bending was gifted to him by the lion turtle, a spiritual animal and the last of its kind that granted humanity the ability to use elements, and Aang was able to receive and get this power not just because he was the Avatar, but because of his heightened spirituality due to his culture and upbringing as an air nomad. This is why now I currently love the idea of Aang getting this power to solve his issue and allow himself to accept his identity as the Avatar without having to discard himself as an air nomad. Aang throughout this series is a child who failed to accept his identity, learning how to accept his identity and be the man the world needs him to be, while maintaining who he is as a person. Aang is a really cool character and is my second favorite character in the entire franchise. He is incredibly relatable as a character and has a bit of subtle nuances to who he is that not a lot of people notice within the series, and I didn't either until quite a few rewatches on my part. His writing is incredible and he's also funny as hell. Aang is my guy. If you guys enjoyed this video on Avatar, please let me know by subscribing and leaving a like on the vid. Plan on making a bunch more Avatar vids, especially regarding the novels, as I recently read through the Kyoshi novels and I just got the Yang Chen novels like the day before I finished the script. Anyways, that's all for now. Frost out. Peace.